Welcome to the Moon Manifesting Podcast with Kyra Howearth. Hi, I'm Kyra, business astrologer, moon manifesting mama, author, teacher, and mentor. I teach you how to harness the energy of the moon, stars, and cosmos so you can manifest your dreams and discover a deeper purpose to your life. Hey there, welcome back to the Moon Manifesting Podcast. It's Kyra here today. Hello. How are you all going? So, this is our last episode for 2022. So I wanted to start off this episode by maybe sharing a bit about the past year on the podcast, because I've recently had a look at the Spotify Wrapped for podcasts for the Moon Manifesting Podcast, and I thought I'd share some of those statistics with you all. So yeah, I'll do that first. But yeah, this episode we're going to be talking all about the astrological events for 2023. So stay tuned. I will dive into all that real soon. But first, some stats. Exciting. So in 2022, the 5 top countries where my listeners all were, where all you beautiful people are who are listening to my podcast, we had America, which, you know, kind of not surprising. Australia, I thought was also kind of not surprising because, you know, I'm an Aussie. I know lots of Aussies who listen to the podcast. Canada, I know quite a few of you in Canada as well. Hello, my Canadian friends. The UK, there's quite a few people from the UK who are listening to the podcast, so hello. And the fifth most, the fifth country with the most listeners of my podcast is Germany, which was kind of surprising. But hello to all my listeners in Germany. So nice to have you here. So I thought that was so interesting, finding out where you all are in the world. And yeah, maybe you're in somewhere different. I'd love to know if maybe you're in a different country. Send me a message and let me know. I'd love to know where all my listeners are from. So have a guess, if you like, if you've been a long time listener, what episode do you think was my most popular episode for 2022? So I had, on the Spotify Wrapped thing, they had 3 different choices, and I chose the wrong choice, first go, because, like, you know, I look at my stats and I was like, I'm sure that podcast has had way more listens than any other one of my episodes. Anyways, it turns out that my most popular podcast for 2022 was way back in January, and it was all about Mercury retrograde. I think it was episode 48, Mercury retrograde do's and don'ts. So yeah, feel free to go check that out, because that's kind of applicable for what's coming up real soon. We have Mercury in retrograde from the 29th of December 2022 through to about the 18th of January 2023. So if you want to brush up on what Mercury retrograde's all about, go check out my most popular episode from 2022. The other really cool thing I found from the stats was that there's about 20 of you that the Moon Manifesting Podcast is your number 1 show that you listen to on Spotify. So that means that there's 20 of you that you listen to my show more than any other podcast. So thank you so much. Like, group hug. Oh my God, that's so cool. And I think I was in the top 10% for over 100 of you. Like, there's over, I think it was like 140 odd people, listeners, who, yeah, my podcast is in the top 10%. So that was really exciting. You guys are listening to me. Thank you. It's so cool, like, showing up here every week and, you know, chatting about astrology or tarot or whatever else I happen to be talking about on here. I'm so glad that there's so many of you who resonate with what I'm sharing, and that you love listening to me. So thank you so much for showing up. And yeah, I'd love to connect with you. If you thought that these stats were cool, let me know. Send me a message on Instagram. I'd love to chat with you about what you've found really helpful about the Moon Manifesting Podcast over the past year. So let's dive in to astro events for 2023. Before I dive into this, a quick little plug for this really cool resource, the 2023 Moon Manifesting Planner. So what I'm talking about today in this episode, I'm pretty much just going to be going over like some astrological events that are happening, some dates and things. You can find all that information right here in the planner as well. I mean, of course, I'm going to be adding a bit more info in the podcast because I like to talk. I can give you more info. But in the 2023 planner, you'll find like the dates for like when Mercury retrograde starts and ends, for when Jupiter moves into Taurus, for all that sort of stuff, for when every single new and full moon is. It's got space for setting your goals, for setting your intentions every new moon. There's tarot spreads. There's so much inside this planner. Like it's amazing. It's yeah, incredible value. It's a really kind of thick planner for the year. It gets thicker every year too, by the way. I keep adding new things to it. So yeah, you can get the 2023 Moon Manifesting Planner if you haven't already. You can get that through the show notes below, or you can find it on Amazon or other good bookstores near you. And if you are having trouble locating it in your location, feel free to send me a message on Instagram or email me, and I can point you in the right direction. So with that said, let's dive into what's happening in 2023 because I'm really excited about this energy. There is so much that's coming up that's going to make 2023 such a different year to like what we've been experiencing in recent years. In like more recent years, we've been experiencing, like a lot of like we've had COVID, like, there's been so much stuff with that has, really shaken up our world in maybe not a so great way. So yeah, there's been a lot that I think we're ready to leave behind as we step into, the next chapter for humanity. And that's exactly what's going to happen. So one of the main things, what I think in my view is one of the most important things that's happening astrologically in 2023, because this is like a once in a lifetime thing, is that Pluto is going to be moving into Aquarius. Wow. So Pluto takes about 248 years to move right around all the zodiac signs. So like I said, this is a once in a lifetime thing. You will not be alive the next time Pluto will be in Aquarius or even in Capricorn where Pluto is currently. So yeah, this is like a once in a lifetime thing. So we are going to be living through this new age. So Pluto, because it's such a slow moving planet, the effects of Pluto are really like generational things. So you'll find like, people who were born with like Pluto in Scorpio. So like my generation, if you're like, born 80s or 90s, that generation, we still are. We're about like, bringing the taboo topics into light. I guess that kind of explains why I love to talk about the more taboo topics like tarot and astrology and that sort of thing, because that's part of my generation. That's part of like my Pluto energy of what I'm here to do. So yeah, Pluto is like, a very slow moving outer planet, and it can take, anywhere between like 12 to 33 years in each zodiac sign. So I think, Pluto has been in, what's the sign? Capricorn, mind blank, since 2008. So it's spent about 14 to 15 years in Capricorn. Pluto's going to spend about 20 years in Aquarius, because its orbit is kind of like elliptical. It's not like fully a circle, an even circle. So it spends a bit more time in certain zodiac signs than other zodiac signs. So yeah, what's going to happen? Pluto in Aquarius. So that's going to start on 23rd of March. Pluto is going to move into Aquarius. And it's just going to move into the first few degrees of Aquarius until about the 11th of June. And then it's going to go retrograde out of Aquarius back into Capricorn for a bit. And then, in 2024, it's going to move into Aquarius for good. So what this is, though, we're going to get a taste of this new beginning. Is a beginning of a 20-year period of change. Aquarius is the change maker of the zodiac signs. Aquarius is all about like awakening, about revelations. This energy can help us restructure the rules. So with Pluto in Capricorn, we kind of saw like a lot of authority and like politics and that sort of energy really rise to the surface and really kind of rule our lives. But with Pluto moving into Aquarius, we're going to break down those rules and we're going to restructure society. So looking back at when Pluto was last in Aquarius, we had things happening like the French Revolution, and I think there was like some sort of revolution happening in the US. My US history is not that great, so apologies for my lack of detail there, but there was some sort of revolution happening there too. So revolution, I think, is something that we can expect in the coming 20 years with this Pluto in Aquarius energy. So yeah, something to kind of look out for, to be aware of. It's an exciting time, to be honest, that we're alive during this time where we're going to be able to see things change and maybe be part of that change. The Aquarius energy as well is like really about humanity and compassion for all, like kind of like connecting with everyone, seeing that we're all the same, we're all human, even if our skin is different color, even if we live in different parts of the world or speak different languages, we are all one. And so I think the Aquarius energy with Pluto moving through Aquarius over these next 20 years is really going to help unite us as well, unite humanity. As we kind of overthrow the rules and structures that don't serve us anymore. Exciting times ahead. So yeah, that's probably the most exciting thing that's happening in the year ahead. Something else that's quite exciting is that Saturn is going to be moving into Pisces. So Saturn takes it moves much faster than Pluto. It takes about 29 years to go right around the zodiac. And so it spends about 3 years or so, or 2.5 years in each zodiac sign. So we're going to see Saturn in Pisces through to about 2026. So from 2023 to 2026, we're going to have this Saturn in Pisces energy. So Saturn's going to move into Pisces on the 8th of March, 2023. And this is going to start this 3-year period where we're going to be... how do I describe this? Saturn is the planet of like challenge and responsibility and duty. So we're going to be taking more responsibility for ourselves, especially with that Piscean energy, which is to do with like spirituality or escapism, like going into fantasy worlds. And so some of the things that we might see come up with Saturn moving through Pisces over the next few years are things like spiritual growth. Saturn is a teacher. Okay, Saturn teaches us hard lessons in life. So we may go through these hard spiritual lessons over these next few years, but they're going to help us grow. So it's going to be hard, but it's going to be good at the same time. Spiritual growth, it's not always easy, but you're going to come out, out of your cocoon at the end of it as a beautiful butterfly, right? Spiritual growth is coming up. Sobriety is something that's coming up with Saturn in Pisces, where we're taking responsibility. We're not drinking or taking drugs or doing whatever it is to escape from our responsibilities and our duties. We're going to really face up to, where we're escaping and what we're escaping from and why are we escaping, and, maybe exploring those layers and taking responsibility for our actions. Something else that is going to come up with Saturn moving through Pisces is we're going to become more mindful of our mindless behaviors. So you might become more strict with things like mindless scrolling on your phone, like on social media. like putting a stop to that. Maybe if you're a smoker and you find yourself just like habitually, like, you know, having a smoke, like just out of habit, Saturn in Pisces could be a really good opportunity to help you stop smoking, because you're going to be becoming more mindful, more self-disciplined, more in control of those mindless and habitual behaviors. You're going to be able to go more deeper into why you're doing it. What's the purpose behind doing that? And if it's something that's not serving you, you're going to have that strength and that self-discipline to help you change that. Something I've got written down on my notes here in front of me is, will you be consumed or will you create something? So yeah, something to think about with that Saturn and Pisces energy. Will you be the consumer or will you be the creator? So with anything, you can use this energy to, you know, make these changes in your life, to work with that energy, or you can just, you know, ignore it and just keep on living your own life. And, you know, unless, you know, there's some sort of divine intervention, things aren't going to change, right? But you can absolutely work with this energy. So maybe if you're, you know, vibing with something that I'm saying here, whether it's, you know, stopping your mindless scrolling or quitting smoking or whatever it might be, you know, you have the choice there to do that with Saturn in Pisces energy. Like, it will help you to do that. So yeah, there's that. So those are probably, the two biggest things I wanted to talk about in today's episode. The Pluto moving into Aquarius, there's that big revolution theme happening, and then Saturn moving into Pisces, you know, helping us to be more sober and responsible and that sort of thing. Something that was quite interesting that I was pondering with the Saturn in Pisces energy was that the last time Saturn was in Pisces was in around 1993 through to 1996. And something that happened during this time that I kind of connected the dots was that Kurt Cobain, who was also a Pisces sun, that was when he ended his life, or, you know, depending on what you believe, whether he was murdered or, you know, the conspiracy there, but he died. And I'm a huge Nirvana fan. I wanted to call one of my kids Nirvana. But yeah, I thought that was really interesting. Like, that's what happened during the last Saturn in Pisces. There's other things that happened too. But yeah, you know, maybe looking after those people who have, you know, who are quite sensitive to the world around them, who maybe are numbing their feelings and stuff with drugs, with alcohol, with whatever, and maybe helping those people through this time, because Saturn and Pisces can be quite tough. You know, if you are, you know, escaping from things all the time. So yeah, maybe something to consider there if that resonated with you. That Kurt Cobain connection, I just felt like I had to share that on the podcast. Hi, if you're a Kurt Cobain fan too, send me a message. Let's chat about Nirvana. Okay, so I'm going to go through some other astrological events for 2023, some major events. I could like literally sit here and talk for hours about all the different things, but I'm going to try to keep this episode kind of short. So let's see how we go. All right. So 20th of April, we're going to have a hybrid solar eclipse in Aries. This is going to be occurring towards the end of Aries at 29 degrees and 50 minutes Aries. So there's only 30 degrees in a zodiac sign, right? So it's like right kind of at the end of that 29th degree of Aries. So this is a really rare occurrence where we have this hybrid solar eclipse. And at this time when this eclipse is happening, what's actually happening? Okay, let me start this section again. Getting all confused because I'm like thinking a million miles a minute. Okay, so the eclipses, right? They happen because of the nodes, right? The North Node and South Node, which are currently, the North Node is in Taurus, South Node is in Scorpio. So during 2023, the nodes are going to shift so that the North Node will be in Aries and the South Node will be in Libra. So the nodes tell us, like, you know, this is what signs the eclipse is going to be in. So at the time of this hybrid solar eclipse in Aries, the nodes are still going to be on that Taurus Scorpio axis for a few months even. So yeah, we're going to have this hybrid solar eclipse. So the hybrid solar eclipse is kind of where it's a combination of like a partial solar eclipse and an annual solar eclipse. And I think there's another type of solar eclipse, which is all like astronomy type terms. I'm an astrologer, not an astronomer, so I'm not 100% sure on those terms. But yeah, it's a rare occurrence. We only have these hybrid solar eclipses around once every 10 years. So it's kind of like a once in a decade thing. So this is going to be a really powerful time for setting intentions. Solar eclipses occur with a new moon. So yeah, powerful time for setting intentions that you want to rapidly manifest. And that Aries energy can really kind of light a fire under you, make you feel extra ambitious. So yeah, really powerful time for setting intentions for what you want to manifest for the rest of 2023. So the day after this hybrid solar eclipse, on the 21st of April, Mercury is going to be in retrograde through Taurus for about 3 weeks until the 14th of May. So that's going to be happening from about 15 degrees Taurus through to about 5 degrees Taurus. So yeah, with any Mercury retrograde, this is a good time to ensure that you're backing up technology, paying attention with traveling, allowing extra time for delays, that sort of thing. Double checking emails or anything that you're writing. Maybe not such a great time for signing documents or anything important. And yeah, that sort of thing. That's all kind of that I've talked about a million times on the podcast already. And like I mentioned before, my most popular episode in 2022 was all about Mercury retrograde. So if you want more details about what to expect, be sure to check that one out. So on the 5th of May, we're going to have a lunar eclipse in Scorpio. And I think this is going to be the last eclipse that we have in Scorpio. Not quite the last one that we're going to have on that Taurus-Scorpio axis. But this lunar eclipse in Scorpio is going to be a really good time for releasing, for transforming, particularly releasing our fears, letting go of limiting beliefs, letting go of self-sabotaging behavior, letting go of the things that are holding you back from living to your highest potential. So that could be some really potent energy to work with for transforming your life. So on the 16th of May, something exciting is going to happen, and that is that Jupiter is going to be moving into Taurus. So Jupiter spends about a year approximately transiting through each zodiac sign. So it moves relatively faster than, let's say, Pluto, as we've talked about. But Jupiter moving into Taurus is going to be bringing all that Jupiter energy, which is to do with abundance and growth and luck, into that Taurus energy, which is to do with manifesting the practical things in our lives. It's to do with self-care and beauty. The Taurus energy is to do with money, manifesting money. So with Jupiter in Taurus, it can be very beneficial for all of those things, and to be focusing on bringing more of those things into your life. And then about 2 weeks after that, after Jupiter moves into Taurus, well, what else is hanging out in Taurus that I've just been talking about? That is, of course, the North Node. So on the 1st of June, Jupiter is going to meet up with the North Node. The North Node, it's worth mentioning, it's not actually something that you can see in the sky. It's more just like a mathematical point that's calculated. But yeah, the North Node is, I think it's one of the most important things to look for in astrology, because there's a lot of energy that we can work with the nodes. So the North Node is all about our future destiny. The North Node energy is about growth and stepping out of our comfort zone. So with Jupiter conjunct the North Node, it's going to be a huge time of growth, because we have Jupiter, which is all about growth, and the North Node, which is all about growth. So yeah, it's like a double whammy of this growth energy. So if there's something that you really want to manifest, to grow in your life, then around the 1st of June, working with that energy there could be really potent for growing your luck and your abundance, and maybe stepping outside of your comfort zone and trying new things so that you can grow. So as I said earlier, the nodes are going to be shifting from the Taurus and Scorpio axis into the Aries and Libra axis. And so that is going to be happening around the 13th of July, give or take. And that will depend whether you're looking at like the true node or the North node. There's like a few different ways that, there's nodes. But around then, in the middle of July, the nodes are going to be switching into that Libra and Aries axis. So what that's going to mean is that over the next 2 years or so that the nodes are in this axis, is that instead of like, so with the Taurus and Scorpio axis, it was like very heavily focused on money and like manifesting the material things that you want. With the Libra and Aries axis, it's more focused on like the self. The Aries is more like about, yourself, and Libra, being opposite on the zodiac wheel, is about like supporting others and relationships. So we're going to be finding this balance with this Aries and Libra axis between our own needs and others, like, giving to others and supporting others. So yeah, really finding balance there with that axis. So on the 22nd of July, we're going to see Venus go retrograde. Venus doesn't go retrograde too often. Like I think it's about roughly every 2 years from memory. So Venus is going to go retrograde in Leo at about 28 degrees Leo for about about 6 weeks or so, until the 3rd of September. And it will go direct again at 12 degrees Leo. So Venus in retrograde, Venus rules things like our money, our values, our desires, our goals, as well as our relationships and love. So with Venus in retrograde, we may experience some difficulties in those areas of our lives. So being mindful during that time that you're maybe not spending all your money on purchases that are, maybe just boosting your ego. Like especially with Venus in Leo, like we may be desiring things like for pleasure, or things that are quite frivolous or luxurious. And that can be perfectly fine, but with Venus in retrograde, we may not be making the best decisions about what we're choosing to spend our money on. So something to be mindful there from July through to September. Be careful with your money, and being mindful with your relationships too. Maybe giving a bit more extra love and support to those that you are closest with, just working with that Venus retrograde energy to the best of your ability there. So the 23rd of August, we'll see another Mercury retrograde, of course, it happens. This time Mercury will be in retrograde in Virgo from about 21 degrees Virgo through to 8 degrees Virgo. So Mercury will be in retrograde from the 23rd of August through to about the 15th of September. So again, another opportunity to back up your devices, to maybe not even travel, or make some extra cautions if you do need to travel, double checking things before you send them off and that sort of thing. So then in October, we're going to see 2 eclipses. We're going to have a new moon and eclipse in Libra. So we had the first eclipse on that kind of Aries-Libra axis with that hybrid solar eclipse in Aries at the start of the year. And so now on the 14th of October, we're having a new moon and solar eclipse in Libra. So this can be a really good opportunity to set new intentions to do with relationships, to do with supporting others, or maybe receiving support. Libra energy is really good for like a partnership. So whether that's like a mentorship or receiving coaching or some other sort of support in your life. It can be, a really positive opportunity for manifesting that. So that's on the 14th of October, and that will be occurring at 21 degrees Libra. With all these things that I'm saying, by the way, I should have said this at the start. As I'm saying these degrees, like maybe having a look on your natal chart to see what's going to be coming up with that energy and how that's going to be affecting you. What house is that going to be happening in for you? Maybe it's making aspects with other natal planets on your chart. It's always handy to look at your chart as I'm going through and explaining about all this. So on the 28th of October, we're going to be seeing a full moon and eclipse in Taurus, and that is going to be the last one in this Scorpio-Taurus axis. And that's going to be occurring at 5 degrees Taurus. And so this is going to be a really good opportunity for releasing any material desires that haven't manifested, for releasing things to do with money, to do with beauty, to do with your self-care. It can be a really good time for, releasing those things that are kind of vain, I guess. Maybe that's not the right word. Releasing those things, because maybe, those things aren't really what will be bringing you joy. Maybe those are the things that don't really matter. So if they haven't manifested into your life, it can be a really good time to release them with that eclipse. Eclipses are, of course, powerful times for manifesting. So with a lunar eclipse, it's particularly powerful for letting go of things, because when you let go of things, it creates space in your life to manifest something even better. So that could be something that you want to let go of with that eclipse in Taurus at the end of the year. Letting go of those material things, so that you can make way for something better. Maybe there's broken things in your life. Maybe you've got boxes of things that you've just been holding on to. Maybe you've been hoarding things. Really good time to declutter and get rid of physical things that you've been holding on to. And then, the last kind of exciting thing that's happening for the year is the 13th of December. We're going to see Mercury going to retrograde again. I know. Probably not the exciting news that you wanted to hear. So Mercury is going to be in retrograde until the end of the year, and it's going to go direct on the 1st of January 2024. And that Mercury retrograde will be going through Capricorn and back into Sagittarius. So from about 8 degrees Capricorn to about 22 degrees Sagittarius. So just being mindful if you do have any natal planets there that this Mercury retrograde energy could be disrupting. And again, of course, all that general sort of Mercury retrograde advice that I've already explained a few times here today. So I hope that was helpful for understanding the energies that are coming up for the year ahead. Like I said, 2023 is going to be a bit of a different year. We've got a lot of different sort of energies coming up that we haven't seen before, or that may have happened a long time ago. I certainly don't really remember much of last time Saturn was in Pisces, because I was a child, not really into astrology. There's a lot of interesting energies coming up, and so I'd love to know if any of this resonated with you, if maybe there's questions that you have about some of the things I've mentioned here today. Let me know. Feel free to send me a message on Instagram or send me an email. I'm always happy to answer your questions and chat more about moon manifesting and astrology and all of that good stuff. So don't forget that if you do want to stay on top of all this astro energy for the year ahead, be sure to get your hands on a copy of the 2023 Moon Manifesting Planner, because as I mentioned, it's going to have like all the dates for Mercury retrograde, for Venus retrograde, for when Jupiter moves into Taurus, for when Saturn moves into Pisces, all of that for the exact date that Pluto moves into Aquarius. It has all of that, as well as like every single new and full moon, all that great information that will help you manifest your best life. So yeah, link in the show notes for all the details for everything I've said today. You'll find a link to the blog post that accompanies this podcast, as well as links to the planner and anything else that I've mentioned. So thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode for the Moon Manifesting Podcast. I'll catch you next week for another episode. See you in 2023. Stay magical, stay manifesting, and stay tuned. I'll chat with you soon. Thank you for listening to the Moon Manifesting Podcast. If you're wanting more moon magic, check out my book, Moon Manifesting. Download your free Moon Manifesting calendar or connect with me on social media. You can do all of that at kyrahowearth.com.au. Stay magical, stay manifesting, and stay tuned. I'll speak with you in the next episode.